Up next, I'm excited. We have another great friend of mine, a newer friend. I'm Danna Beal, who is an author and a business coach, and she's written a fabulous book called The Illuminated Workplace. And she's going to talk to us about healing relationships in our life. So, welcome, Danna. I'm giving you the floor.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for having me
Oh,
today.
it's my pleasure. Thank you.
And it sounds like everybody's having some amazing experiences today. It's a joy to hear all the expression. I love that last one talking about nature because I feel the same way. I'm in Seattle and I live on Lake Washington, and I look out at the water and the trees and the birds, and it brings me very present. But I wanted to tell a little bit about why I wrote the book, The Illuminated Workplace, or how I came to write it, because I wasn't planning to write it, but I had some amazing experiences in my life. And I think by sharing them, I can show people that you could have some similar experiences or maybe already do. But I think it's good to share. And then I will tell you a little bit more about how you can apply it to your life, what I teach. So to begin with, I was a business consultant and I was a marketing director for a variety of companies. And in 1984, I was awakened in the night by a voice, an inner voice that told me to get a pen and paper. So I did. And the voice said to me, Danna, write this down. The biggest problem that you have is that you think you're too small. And I want to ask all of you to think about that. Do you sometimes think you're too small to do what you set out to do or whatever your mission is, and possibly have doubts along the way? Because I certainly have. So they went on to say that the information they were sharing with me would help heal relationships, but it was very important that I be careful with whom I share it with at the time. This was in 1984, when if you wanted to learn anything spiritual, it was in the occult section of the bookstore, and you were treated like there's something strange about you. And they told me that I could suffer from the IWT2 syndrome. And I said, what's that? And they said the I will doubt too syndrome. And secondly, that I could threaten other people's thought systems if I shared too much of this. And I discovered they were right when my family wanted to pray for me that I'd somehow gotten off track. But I continued on with my path, and I often would be awakened and given messages, and they were mostly personal. And they helped me with decisions in my life and helped me understand more my purpose, why I was here. In 1991, I had another amazing experience. I was a marketing director for a regional CPA firm, very business-like world that I was living in. And I'd almost, not really recognized how important what was happening was. And I was lying in bed, almost asleep, when all of a sudden I was lifted into the sky. And on either side of me were huge angels, like archangels. And we swayed in the music, and there was beautiful music and colors. And it was just this most just ecstatic moment. And then all of a sudden, I was back in my bed. And I felt like, did that really happen? And they said, you are going to do work that has to do with spirit in business. But this is not the optimum time. The right time has not occurred, and you will do this work. So I always write everything down, but I still didn't know what that meant. And I went on to have interesting experiences, but then in the year 2000, January actually of 2000, the new millennium, I was awakened with the most powerful experience that I can even describe. Near the end of my bed, at the opposite end of my room I had double bedroom doors. I was single, by the way, so I didn't scare anybody in the room. And as I was awakened, there were beings, giant beings surrounding the end of my bed. And they're like in my mind's eye, but they're very real. They're very real. Transparent is almost the better word for it. And they said, Danna, it's time to do the work you said you would do. And I was just in awe, and they were smiling and they were happy. And they were like, this is a joyous moment. And this is primordial, the work you're about to do. And they went on to share information with me every night. It always happened in the night, and I slept with paper and pen, and they dictated to me a book. But first they said to me, the workplace, and I might add the world, is a web of egos battling, competing for power. Managers disempower employees. Employees hurt and sabotage one another. The entire workplace is filled with fear, pain, gossip, sabotage, blame, victimization, but most of all, fear. And I said, oh my gosh, is that an exaggeration? And they said, don't evaluate, just listen. So I would say that the workplace, having been in many workplaces, is actually a web of egos. And to heal the world, we need to start healing the egos and recognize the spirit in all of us. I've never seen so much conflict in my lifetime as we're seeing right now. And we are all here today, light workers, but part of healing is recognizing inside ourselves what we can do to heal. We can be a light, but we also have blocks that we need to work on for ourselves so that our relationships can be better. So I listened to the voices, and they told me that verbatim, this book is about rebuilding relationships in the workplace and the world by honoring the spirit residing in each one of us beneath our self-created identities. These self-created identities, these masks we wear, our egos, battle and compete for power. We sabotage one another, and we claim that we're victims. One day, when we can replace fear, because everything stems from fear, when we can replace fear with trust and compassion for one another, there will be a shift in consciousness, and people everywhere can be restored to who they truly are. To that end, this book is dedicated. They went on to dictate every night for 6 months. I don't know how I slept. I didn't sleep much, but I seemed to be energized anyway. And when I finished the book, I had some different people look at it, and they said, you need more examples. So I put stories in there of workplaces. But I went on to speak all over the United States. I've been an international and national speaker at conferences in almost every industry. And I talk a lot to leaders. But the message I share is the same thing I share with everyone. Each one of us is a soul on a journey. But the problem is we get into these conflicts, and that blocks us from some of our joy, that blocks us from having the relationships we want. It can cause problems in the workplace. It causes family problems. We can have problems with our sister, with our child, with our brother-in-law, and we get into these conflicts. And now I think most of you can see it's happening all over the world. So each one of us can be helpful to heal the workplace, heal the world, heal our families. So I want to tell you what I really believe our process is. I call it a personal restoration plan or unification with the soul. We're connecting our ego self to release the grip it has on us. We want to give up the grip of the ego where we get triggered so that we can be our whole soul self and unify with our soul. And that's what I hear happening today. So many of these wonderful teachers, guides, friends, fellow human beings are here sharing methods for being able to do that. I want to share with you one activity I do in the workplace, and I'm going to invite you, first of all, to get really, really present and be willing to give up judgment and be willing to think about you being your authentic self, not being afraid, being willing to really look deep within. And I call this exercise facing the real enemy. It's been explained to me that the workplace and the world is like a stage, and the egos are like actors. And each one of us has a starring role, but we also pick somebody that we think is the enemy. And the workplace and our families and our world is based on reaction, counter-reaction, reaction, counter-reaction. So it just becomes a locked-in web where nobody wants to put their gun down, so to speak, literally in countries. And I believe if we want to help change the world, we all have to learn how to put down our own gun, metaphorically, with our family, with our friends, with people that we get in conflict with. So the real enemy, we're going to look at what that is. I invite you to be really present. And I want everyone, you don't have to share this, but maybe when we're through, somebody will be willing to share this. I want you to think of somebody you had a conflict with in the last week or so. So it could be someone in your family. It could be somebody at work. It could be anywhere, but you felt a conflict. It could have been the person on the customer service phone call. Whatever it is, I want you to think about that. And so whatever you thought of, that's the right one. Whatever first came to mind. Now, while you're thinking about that conflict, I want you to think about, how are you feeling when that happened? Were you mad? Were you annoyed? Were you hurt? Did you feel it wasn't fair? Did you feel that person was rude? Did you feel nobody ever listens to you? Be really, really honest. How were you feeling at the moment you were in a conflict with this other person? Really feel it right now. How are you feeling? Now, while you are feeling this feeling, and it's usually pain or anxiety or anger, something like that, this is the courageous part. I want you to ask yourself, what do I find threatening about this? What is it that is making me feel so anxious or angry or agitated? What do I fear this says about me? Is this making me lose face? Is this making me look bad? Can I see myself building a case against them to prove I'm right and they are wrong? What am I afraid will happen if I allow this person to speak, or if I just remain here in this conflict? What am I afraid is going to happen? Who's trying to prevail here? Is it me, or is it my ego? Am I trying to be right? Am I trying to control the outcome? What am I defending, or what am I resisting? The real question is, what am I really afraid of? What am I afraid of in this conflict or this moment of dissension? If we were in a workplace, I would say write all of those down, but just the exploration within yourself to know there is a reason you've been triggered. And the reason you're triggered really is not about that other person. It's about you. And that's where the healing can come. The need to be right, the need to be more powerful than someone else is so strong in our ego. But our soul doesn't need to do that. So the next step, if you want to heal this, if you really want to not go through this again with this person, especially if it's a family member, somebody that you love underneath the conflict, when you're not fighting. Or if ever moments come up where you get into this conflict, if you really want to heal that, then it's going to take you healing you, not you trying to heal that other person. So ask yourself about this situation. Why do I believe that this is an attack on me? Do I really believe that's true if they said something terrible? Sometimes the only reason we react is because there is a part of us that does believe it's true. And that's a little bit of inner work you can do with yourself. But the real key to all of this is to recognize you're just a human being that makes mistakes, but you are a soul, and you are a powerful, loving soul. And you don't have to get in this conflict, and you don't have to let somebody treat you with disrespect, ever. So these are the steps the next time this kind of situation comes up with an individual. It could even be with a group of people that you feel this way about, a situation. I want you to do this practice, and I guarantee it will change everything if you can do this. But it's difficult, and that's why there are whole wars going on. I want you to imagine the exact same thing that upset you is happening again. Only this time, you are going to be completely different because you're going to operate from your soul. You're going to operate from your compassionate, deepest, most authentic self, rather than your ego that wants to jump in and save the day and make you right. So the minute you feel that feeling, it's the triggered feeling, the fight or fight feeling. When you feel that, take a deep breath and pause and allow yourself to become present. You can only deal with things when you are calm and present. Then say to yourself something like this, and have it ahead of time that you know what you're going to say to yourself. Something like, I am serene inside, or I'm calm, I'm authentic, whatever resonates with you. I say, I am soul operating in the body of Danna. That's what I say to myself. I don't have to react to this. Then say to yourself, perhaps I'm wrong. Just being willing to admit that perhaps you're wrong can help end this drama. Then say, this person is playing out their drama. They're just playing out their own script. And actually, it's not really about me. It's about them. So I can choose, am I going to be cast in this role or not? And tell yourself, I don't have to be a puppet in someone else's drama. If they are doing something outrageous, if I react, it actually validates it for both that person and me. And if we want to change it, we want to come from the calm, authentic self, not the reactionary drama script. When you can do this and recognize you don't need to be hooked, then say to yourself, I'm free to listen and express myself. And I'm even free to be relaxed and ask questions. Why is this person feeling this way? You can even say something about, it's too bad we're getting in a conflict. Let's see if we can't figure it out, instead of the reaction of attacking back. You'll recognize then you're safe to have a conversation without deflecting or blaming, because blame is the biggest problem in the world and the workplace and in families. Everybody wants to blame because we believe that exonerates us, because now we're right and they're wrong. So say, I'm safe to think these things to yourself. I'm safe to listen, and I don't have to deflect. And then most importantly is, I am responsible for my own feelings. This other person doesn't control my feelings. I do. But if I react, if I get hooked into this drama, I just gave away my own power. And every time we blame, we give away our own power. So if you can do this in your next conflict, I guarantee you will see it differently. and you will have different results. But it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to be the one to look within, to look at yourself instead of immediately blaming. Think what could happen in the world if we all start doing that, if we could actually listen, because we're never going to have a true armistice. We're never going to have peace until we reconcile our ideas, till we give up judgment. We're constantly judging other people. We're constantly judging. It's what we do as human beings. But the more we can recognize there are many perspectives, there are many opinions, and we don't have to be right all the time. So I know, I guarantee people have come up to me and said, this has helped them with their wife. It's helped them with their law partners. It's helped them with so many different situations. But the biggest problem we have, again, I'm going to say is we want to make someone the enemy. So I want to tell another story, and then I'm going to see if anyone is willing to share what they got out of it. But this story is a very powerful story, and it's about my dad in World War II. My dad was a pilot, and he flew a B-17 during World War II. And he flew 11 different missions over Berlin, in Germany, near Berlin. And it was a very dangerous role that he played as a pilot on a B-17. And on his 11th mission, he was shot down. When he was shot down, his gunner was killed. His co-pilot's leg was so broken so badly, my dad had to drag him. They parachuted out and they were captured and they were put in a Nazi war camp. And while they were in there, they were starved, they were interrogated, and the only thing they could say is name, rank, and serial number. They were frozen. Their feet were frozen. My dad had frostbite. They were covered in lice, and they were basically starved. My dad went in weighing 185 pounds, and he lost 70 pounds in the 9 months he was in a POW camp. While he was fighting, he was there fighting for our freedom. He was fighting for peace. It was near the end of the 9th month when my dad woke up at dawn and he heard someone singing the American national anthem. Well, that was punishable by death in a POW camp. So he stood up and he listened, and then he heard hundreds of people singing the American national anthem. And before the song was over, thousands of POWs were singing the American national anthem because World War II was over. The Russians were there to help the American prisoners back to England and then sent back to the United States. The Germans had left posts. The Germans were our then enemy. The Russians were our allies. And what's happening today? Who is the enemy? The enemy is always who we think threatens us or our country or our personal self or our family. But when are we going to start to see we are all children on this planet? We're one planet, global family of individuals that are all part of the oneness and the whole. But we go around wearing masks to cover our fears. We blame each other, but we're really all beautiful, unique souls. And what a holy day, one day, when we can take off our masks and see our brothers and sisters standing there who we had mistakenly identified as the enemy. So I hope that gives you a perspective of how we blame, how we make people the enemy, and all the things that we do to try to keep ourselves safe. But all we're doing is compounding the problem. Blame, confront each other, then a greater escalation, and it continues, and it takes just one to break it down in your family, or your workplace. And as we do it individually, we affect the collective. As Emily talked so much about, we are part of the collective, but we need to heal our own inner issues, and that helps heal the world. It's wonderful that we're shining light, but we can shine even more light when we heal our own issues. So I'd like to see if anyone would like to share if they gained any insight to that or felt any release from that. Or if you're really brave, you'll recognize at times where maybe you could have reacted differently.
I had something to bring to that.
Great.
And that
Great.
is,
Thank you.
yeah, I have, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. I have a lot of family members that I've had to disassociate with. And I've never really had conflict. I was always the peacekeeper in the family, trying to keep everyone together. It just became such a heavy burden that it was bringing health conditions on me. And to the point that they pretty much just say they are drug addicts. They have problems. And then I kept blaming myself that why can't I heal them? Why can't I fix them? Like over this, I gotta fix everybody, gotta help everybody. And just constantly under attack for those things. It came to the point that it was putting me in the hospital because I was being so much toxic energy that I pretty much came to the need that I had to disassociate myself and just send them love from a distance, but I can't have them in my life. It was that point I started actually healing myself and not feeling this toxic energy. So, and I don't have conflict with anyone on that end. It's just that I have this way of taking it all onto myself, wanting to heal it. So I had to learn I have to back off. So some people just can't be putting themselves in a position where they know it's bringing self-harm. I have incidents now that I'm having with my family that I can't do that with my own internal family because of things they're going through. So now I've learned that I don't have to abandon that. I can just protect myself from it and just love them and listen, like you were saying, and realizing that's not my drama and it's not my responsibility to heal everybody and take all of their burdens on, but just to sit there and just send them the love and the unconditional love. So just what was your take on that?
I think that's beautiful, because sometimes the dysfunction is so great, we can see it, but we don't have to be part of it and validate it by interacting and getting upset and being in the drama, which is exactly what you did. And I think a lot of us grew up with codependency kind of issues where we felt we were responsible and we had to fix and heal and be the peacekeeper. And we don't. When we can finally recognize that's their drama, then we're able to operate calmly and not get hooked into it. And it may mean that you just completely disassociate. I'm not sure at what level you are. Some dysfunctional families, they just realize they have other family members that are not in their family that support them, and they have to make that decision. But in the meantime, I think the best way to recognize your healing is when you're no longer triggered and hooked by the things that they do. And you can still send them love. But that's
so basically, I just still like to share with that was just to share to others is I think it's okay to let go of that.
Yes.
For your own health and your own good. That you can do this love from a distance. You don't have to take on the responsibilities and the burdens of others and their dramas. That you can still love yourself and send them that love.
And you're just to add to what you're saying, in agreement is sometimes the best thing you can say to someone, the most loving thing, is to say, no, I can't participate in this anymore. So thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anyone else that learned anything from this or had some kind of experience?
I most certainly did. Thank you so much for asking those, like going through like the questions and stuff, because I recently just went through, since I teach Reiki, I did a Reiki master class and did a training, and a friend who is also another spiritual healer took it and lashed out at me in class, and it was just very surprising to me. And I was very hurt by that, and I could feel myself trying to go back and, do like you said, like prove that I'm right.
Mhm.
And I realized, like, oh, wait, let me step back from that mindset real quick and let me look at it from a place where I'm not trying to react, but just looking at it from a bigger picture, like stepping out of the emotion and the ego of it. And
Yes.
whenever you said, like, that's somebody else's drama playing out, I was like, oh my God, like, I see like her drama was playing out and she wanted me to be like a puppet in the drama. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
participating in her drama. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, like my guides have been telling me like, hey, take your power back. Like, don't
Yes.
do this. So I was like, okay, I have no clue what you're talking about until just now. So thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're
That
so
really gave
welcome.
me
And
some
thank you.
clarity.
You said it so well too. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that it takes honest introspection and reflection to do that. And I've done this with groups of surgeons, and even they who have, I hate to say, really big egos, can say, "Oh, wait a minute, I can learn something from this."
Yeah.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So I wanted to say, like from my own personal experience, I have a son who has autism, and so those things that you just said, like that even works with those kinds of kiddos. I'm telling you, like a lot of times my son has like severe behavioral disorders, and it's so hard sometimes just to not react, because he'll, when he gets mad, he'll throw trains across the room, or and I'm like, oh my God, but like, and it's really hard not to get pulled into that and to react to that. But I mean, even in ABA therapy and everything, I teach you, do not react. Like, do not react, do not react. And it so works. I mean, I think it works with people on all levels, and even our kiddos that are not neurotypical, like it just does wonders. So I mean, yeah, all the things that you said, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I actually I just canceled some of his therapies because I've been fighting with him, like butting heads, like for trying to get him to do this, and why am I trying to get him to do these things? Is it for him? No, he doesn't want to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm backing up, and I'm taking back my power. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this little 18-year-old kid is stealing my power. You know what I mean? I'm giving him all of this energy, negative energy and I'm like, I don't have any power left. And I had just talked to my sister about it the other night too. So a lot of the things that you said, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like reaffirming for me that, wow, so thank you so much. I just appreciate that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so happy that you got that and saw that, because it will help you. Just keep remembering it. Don't forget, but sometimes you'll forget. But
yes,
then
it's not
bring
easy.
yourself back
It takes some practice.
Yes, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, to be disengaged, but it's better. It's gonna work. So and I think I was supposed to be
him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It helps him too. All this time I'm trying to help him in the wrong way. I'm trying to help him, but in the wrong way. Ignoring him is actually helping him, which is huge. So, and I think I was supposed to be on this Zoom call today just to kind of reaffirm, like, these things that just happened. Like, these are changes I just made. Made, like these are just changes I just made to make, our lives at home better. And then I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be here to hear you, because it's just reaffirming. It's just reaffirming everything I just did. So thank you so.
I'm so glad, and that's synchronicity. Synchronicity to be here and listening right now. Okay. Amy?
Thank you.
Oh, whoever.
I'm sorry. This is Michelle's mom, the one that just spoke. That was beautiful, and I got so much out of that, and I support both my daughters. Of course, they're Emily and Michelle. I don't know if you know that, but they're beautiful daughters, and I love them both, and they have enlightened me, and they've taught me more than I taught them, I believe. So they're both beautiful. They're both beautiful. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I went to a retreat with my grown daughter, and everybody in Fiji, if you can imagine, a Buddhist
Oh, I
retreat
love Fiji. Yeah.
with my adult daughter, and
Yeah.
other mothers came up to me and said, how could you come to this with your daughter? Because this is a time where people want to blame their mother or blame their father.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but I agree. Our children teach us more, I think, than we even teach them. So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think they're any
that,
accident.
that's very true. I love both of them very well. I have another daughter too, and I have another daughter also, but I love them all dearly, and they've all taught me so much. I'm so
Oh.
appreciative of that. And I loved what you said. I think that is so appropriate for what's going on right now, where people blame each other, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Thank you. This has been a great retreat. This has been
Well,
unbelievable.
I'm so glad you're getting something from this. I often laugh that I start out speaking at a national retreat or a national conference as a motivational speaker, and I start out by saying today's workplace is a web of egos
That's
battling.
it. Exactly.
But it's the truth.
Exactly.
It's the
Yeah, we have to
truth.
recognize our ego. I don't know why we're given that, but we are. But I think it's because it's a learning tool for us.
Yes, exactly.
It's
It
a
is a
learning tool. It's a learning tool. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thank you, angels. You guys are all angels, and I love every single one of you. I think I've gotten so much out of this retreat. I can't even believe it. And you helped my husband. He's wonderful. Thank you, Laura Blue Light and Amy. He is, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm so glad people have gotten some things out of this, because you are all light workers, and so often people that are compassionate and loving also take on too much. And so that's part of why I really wanted to share this with this group, because when we're empathic, we can be the kind of person that can take on other people's responsibilities. And so this retreat has, had a variety of things, but I think we're all adding something to it, and we're all here for the right reason. And I call it synchronicity, that we're at the right place at the right time.
That's it. That's it. That's exactly what I was just going to say. This all happened this is happening at the right time with the world, and
Yes.
it's beautiful. And I wouldn't have missed it for the world, as they say.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
There's still a few minutes if anyone else wants to share something.
So we can find your book on the website.
Oh yeah, I posted the link in the chat. So for her book,
great.
Her book.
That's
So
great.
check the chat. There's the link, and I think
Okay.
Amy was raising her hand earlier too.
Okay.
So I want to give Amy an opportunity to speak.
I was just gonna say that the way that this information was presented to you, the language that you were gifted, is really concise. And I think there's a reason why you're going across the country and delivering this message, because it was so concise, and that is a part of life. It's, detaching yourself from that outcome, responding instead of reacting. And when you come from a place of response and love, which is like what we're doing here, when we find our center, when we find our breath, when we find our grounding, that gives us that bridge of neutrality to find that place where we respond instead of going back and forth to the poles.
Yes.
Because we're constantly ping-ponging back and forth to the poles.
Yes.
The good, the bad,
Exactly.
the evil, the light, the dark. And the bridge, that neutrality piece in between, is really, that's where we're going to save a lot of people. That's where a lot of people are going to get saved, like literally and figuratively. And that's what's going to move us into the fourth dimension. The more people like you guys in this retreat can find that neutrality, that could find that response, the me in the problem or the me in the moment, whatever that is.
Yes.
That's going to save, you're right, it will save the world.
Yeah.
It has no way to stop that.
Right.
No way to stop that ascension if that's where you're coming from.
That's right.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Amy. You said that so well. I'll add that I call them the 12 wise ones, my guidance. They have told me that this shift, as bad as it looks, it had to get so bad because it's going to shift like a wrecking ball with sweeping changes, and not to be afraid. They're telling us that not to be afraid, that a new world is being created that's ready to take over. They describe the current societal structure is like a honeycomb, and it was a once busy habitat. Now it looks like it's real, but there's only a few people hanging on to it, and it's going to dissolve into oblivion, and this new world is going to come forth, and we're part of that. We're some part of it, all of us. And so I love that I got to connect with so many of you, and you validate me to keep doing this work, and we're all going to heal the relationships we have, and the ones that are the hardest are the ones we care about the most. It could be the man that you broke up with and it takes you forever to get over. I relate to that one, and I finally realized that's not my drama. And we all have a family member or somebody, or a workplace boss. We call it the boss from hell. Gallup poll calls it the boss from hell. Whatever the ones that hurt the most, that's where you'll grow the most, when you can face them and be that bridge, like Amy said. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I do coaching. That's also on my page.
Thank you, Danna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Emily.
she does do, and you can schedule individual sessions with Danna as well. Very affordable on her website, and her books on our website as well on the author's page. It's also on Amazon. So the Illuminated Workplace, you can find it, get it. It's fabulous. You are fabulous. Thank you so much. And we put the link. I put the link for her to our author's page in our chat. We have like 25 books in our group that have been written by people in our group. So it's really cool. They're all on there.
What is the name?
It's on our connections111.com.
No, what's the name of the book, please?
Oh, the Illuminated Workplace.
By the way, the wise one,
Illuminated
the wise
Workplace.
one's called this. The book's The Illuminated Workplace. It's a current version of the original book I wrote in 2000. It applies to all relationships, but my assignment was the workplace first. And the wise ones also have said this shift in consciousness, they call it Project Illumination. And they say it's well on its way, and all of us that are participating right now are helping. So I have a Facebook page and I have a Project Illumination page where I invite people to contribute to the peaceful project illumination of lighting up the world, which is, by the way, what this retreat's about. The light, bringing light. So we're all heading in the same direction.
Beautiful.
We're all on the same team.
Yep.
The light. Woo! Got
The
this.
light.
Thank you so much, Danna.
Angels come just like you.